Hello, everyone. I am aLex. I'm here with you through Sun and Moon Yoga Studios YouTube portal. So thrilled to join you for this really short time that we have together and a dedicated time to our practice of stillness and silence. My title theme today is simplicity and humility. This practice is, in a sense, so simple. I like to distill it to the simple parts, and yet I like that as kind of reminders or code words, mantras, but it's coupled with complexity, life complexity, right? So, and just nature, um, manifestation complexity, always being, always becoming. So, the simple part, the simple, and as often is said, simple but not easy. You've heard the science lately is clear that our minds are constantly scanning for what's dangerous, for how we need to be protected, and that's important and good. And for some of us, for many of us, there are ways that that is on overdrive, that there's too much protection, or there are various strategies of protection. And Annie speaks of this beautifully. One of her topics in the Wednesday talk last week on traps, something like that. So to sit, so our mind has these avenues, these pathways that are are fairly mm, rutted. It's a clear road to take us to ways to protect ourselves or to engage in the world that may not always be the most skillful in the present moment. So sitting, the simplicity of it, and I hope that you've had tastes of this. I'm sure you have. I don't know if I'm 100% sure, but we get these gifts of tastes of how when we let go, and maybe you've heard that this kind of story, I believe it's from Indian lore, as a monkey can easily put its hand inside a cage to grab a nut. I'm not sure why the nuts are inside the cage, but to grab inside the container so you can flatten your hand or the monkey's hand and grab inside. Once it grabs the nut, it's a fist and it won't fit back through that opening. So all it needs to do is to let go of the nut to get away from that cage and run on to its next thing. But I find myself so often, I see myself um, in retrospect, usually a few moments or a few days later, where if only I had let go of that nut, if only I had let go of that nut. So that's a simplicity. It's so easy. And the humility, I'm once again basing some of my ideas here on a very real interaction I just had where um, I was fairly unkind. I held on to a nut that I held on to often, and I felt I was unkind. And I'm remembering a talk again. I often share memories from my time sitting with Adyashanti and his talks, and I don't remember the context or whose question he was answering, where he said, "There's a." It's actually a very egoic part of us that in this practice we can start to think that we're beyond having to apologize. And he was so serious about this. He said, "I guess there's a part of a spiritual hubris, perhaps it is, that might make us feel that way." And I probably have that a little bit sometimes, like a pride in my practice. And I've been doing this for a long time, and I know these certain things, but it's so important to still realize our again, missing a word, I usually do, our not frailty, but fallibility, our, humanity, and to be humble. I don't know if that's it, humility, humble, those are 2 a little different, but there's flavors of that in here. And to and that we just don't know it all. We just don't know it all. So it's around that simplicity of letting go of that idea that we know it all. It's been a stark feeling the last day and the last weeks of how valuable to rest into that part that I don't know. And another little Adyashanti uh, anecdote. It was Jackie who remembered this. She and I often shared these meditation retreats together and or were attended together. And she had remembered, I sort of didn't glom onto this one, this image that Adya said. It's as if we're trying to it's as if we have the whole universe available to us, the boundless universe. And what we're trying to stuff ourselves into is this tiny jacket, as if we're trying to act as if the whole universe, all the stars and all beyond, and all the inner depths that we don't know, the smaller and larger, and all the parallel things we don't know. And we're trying to squeeze ourselves into a tiny, tiny jacket. So, so let's, when we sit today, maybe this um, points us to, I'm a little stuffed up, sniffing today. Um, to as we hold our posture, as we check with our breath, as we check the sense of gravity, as we do all the techniques, the counting technique you might use from last week, can we bit by bit relax a little as we feel comfortable to, because it's important to do that um, in a comfortable way. Otherwise, it's too quick. Otherwise, we may scare ourselves and go back into the grip. Although it's not bad to, we can start to recognize when that happens for us, and so and just rest into that mystery, that um, container, that edgelessness, that massive not knowing. And if it does feel like it scares you, just come back to being rooted, to sensing the very real tactile way we know that we're here, that we're safe. And that takes me on a tangent. There are times that we are unsafe. I didn't prepare thoughts on that, but just what comes to mind is often when we're really in an unsafe situation, the primal things that kick in are exactly what need to happen. We know that, and those are important not to discard or to yeah, to to recognize those are important and they do kick in. But a lot of times the psychological uncomfortabilities, which also are very, very real, um, we can these practices, this staying still, this opening to our hearts, to opening to the hearts of others, our teachers, our friends, our support. So our support is this physical, but it is also the support of our communities, which hopefully we have. That is another avenue to cultivate. There's a good theme, how the community support comes into this practice. All right, so on that note, let's get started. And it's a 12-minute sit, and I'll hopefully lightly guide you through that. I may need more support. All righty. We start with a bell and a bow to open the sitting, the simple sitting. You've already bowed. It's okay. The palms come together in front of the heart. And then rest your hands in your selected mudra or where you place them. The first few moments, we just ensure as we sense how the very tangible, solid support is here for our body. We sense how the body meets that support. And we sense the supportive elements within the body, all the parts that touch the cushion or chair or whatever you are sitting or reclining on. And even right here, we can begin to practice opening to the unknown, resting into that and relaxedly, openly listening for it. The pure potential, the fertile void. And we can sense into it by not being so fully in charge of mastering our posture on our own, but being open to gravity, to what we don't yet feel, the contrasts we don't yet feel in our body, getting quiet enough that those contrasts reveal themselves and almost automatically get met with the right shift or response that sometimes are fairly large or gross movements, but often are very, very small. Sometimes we discern when the discomfort is enough that it warrants a large movement. And when I do that, when I sit, I then take another bow as if I restart my practice. So the commitment is there to the stillness, to the silence, to the boundless spaciousness. Every time we feel interrupted, distracted, do you notice that that is a waking of your attention? So my attention just going to this chirpy little bird to my left. And like for me, you may notice you can fold in happenings from the space around or from inside, sometimes without any disturbance to just being right here. Vast opening to the unknown, to the mysterious, is always right here, even with wherever our attention may shift and land or soak into. Sometimes the habit of hard work to attain something just slides in. I noticed it here. The habit of effort, and we might refine to a different kind of effort, a soft, light effort that's more and more coming from that boundless, effortless presence. And it literally seems to take a pause and an allowing, a yield, as if we come to a yield sign. So sometimes that hard work ethic and effort can make things very serious, and coming to light effort might bring us to a more buoyant, even joyous sense. That lightness of felt sense can make itself known in the uprightness of posture and resting into that true self, that eternal being, that boundless presence, that guest house welcomes all. Lightly, lightly. So, as we bring this practice to a close, we can notice what comes to us here in this transition as we complete the time and bring palms together, hearing the bell and bow, and a various number of experience waves can happen right at this moment. And so I had a strong sense somewhere in my sitting with you today of community, as I mentioned it earlier, and the support that was there. Sometimes to describe these aren't so simple. I'm not sure how that felt. It just came during, and certainly things come to us more more fog, like some murky and some really clear. And I invite you to contemplate and hold the simplicity of our of this practice of just letting go of that grip. That might be a good image. Um, Thank you for your comments in the chat there. Jackie and Mary Beth and Minnie Mooch made a couple of appearances, I think. So thank you so much, and may you may you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I will be here next Sunday. And thank you for all of you who join later, not live streaming. And do check out all that Sun and Moon has to offer. This community has been so important for me and some of you, I think. And if I remember, I'll make a note, and maybe community will be next week's theme. But if that is something in your life that's missing, or maybe it needs to be shifted or revived in a different way, how do you find community? We can look forward to that to next week. Ciao, ciao.